Now, before the break, I was discussing that without taking into account the diplomatic capacity and ability of the powerful nations, the resources, mobilization of resources, pooling those resources, interoperability, coordination, unanimity of actions, if that is not sorted by Barack Obama and his camp followers, no military campaign would be successful against ISIS. Rather, on the contrary, that would be counterproductive. We have Alan Hart on telephone line, and I would like to ask this question from him and rephrasing this question in another context. Good evening to you, Alan.
Hello, Ijaz, my friend.
How are you doing today?
I'm reasonably okay.
Okay. Now, Alan, I was discussing short while ago that before launching in any military strategy against ISIS, the world powers, they will have to take into account a very important aspect, and that is they will have to invite the perpetrators who are providing the funds and weapons to the ISIS marauders. And those four countries and four leaders, I don't hesitate to take their names: Abdel Fattah Sisi of Egypt, King Salman of Saudi Arabia, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, and of course Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey. If these people are brought onto the negotiating tables and they are given a strong message that enough is enough, we have to defeat, eliminate the ISIS threat, and you have to be part of our solution. What is your take on that, Alan?
Well, I think I go some way with what you've just said. I think the problem is even more profound than that, Ijaz. I say very frankly that I think the Western powers lack the will to do what is necessary to put ISIS and its affiliates out of business, because they don't want to come to grips with the bottom line truth. And in my last post, I summarized it quite simply as this: ISIS and its affiliates are empowered by the hurt, humiliation, anger and despair of many who make up the Arab and other Muslim masses. It follows, Ijaz, that the only way to erode support for ISIS and its affiliates and eventually put them out of business is by addressing this hurt, humiliation, anger and despair. And there is no sign that Western leaders are prepared to do that, and we can go into the reasons why not if you wish.
Now, another question, Alan. As David Cameron has spent a very, very packed day in Paris and discussed many things. On the sidelines, Pakistan Army Chief General Rahil's Zarb-e-Azb campaign, which has achieved 2/3 of the target so far in eliminating, if not eliminate, at least reducing the threat of Pakistani Taliban. And that model, although that model is from a small third world country like Pakistan, that model has a lot of lessons the West can learn, and there are really real-time successes in that model. What is your reflection on Pakistan's Zarb-e-Azb, because we haven't seen any massive bomb blast in the last 11 months ever since it was launched?
Well, if you're suggesting that really coordinated ground force action could do really serious damage to ISIS, I'm with you. But there is no sign that anybody in the West is prepared to put troops in to take ISIS on that basis. So I just don't see it happening. All the bombing that they're proposing, I think, will be counterproductive. And I think that what that tells us is the West has learned nothing from the folly of its policy post 9/11.
So my last question, Alan, that bearing in mind the SDSR was unveiled today. Number two, in the meantime, Chancellor of the Exchequer introduced massive cuts to fund the police in London and other metropolitan cities of the country. And a very ambitious plan is to provide £160 billion to the armed forces to buy F-35 bomber, 24 of them, and aircraft carrier, and the Vanguard class submarines. So all these ambitious plans, I mean, how relevant they are towards addressing the ISIS threat to this country?
They're not at all relevant because they won't start to come into effect, all these plans, even if the money is there, and there's no saying that it is, but even if the money is there, these things don't come on stream for a decade or more. So in that sense, it has no particular relevance to the need to take on ISIS.
Thank you very much indeed, Alan. Thanks for your time and have a good evening.
All
Thanks.
right, bless you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. So, viewers, you listen to Alan Hart. Now, Alan Hart is always, he's sitting next to me on this chair, but he's not well and he's recovering slowly and gradually. And sooner we will have him live in the studios to add strength to this program. Until he is unwell, I shall be taking him online, on telephone line, and benefiting from his erudite thoughts, erudite knowledge and understanding of these issues pertaining to the global security and peace. So we were discussing that today was a very, very important day. And now I would like to add the telephone lines are open now. So the viewers are invited to make telephone calls, ask any question. And I would like to add that you have the luxury, the privilege to ask a question or pass comment in any of the mediums of instruction like English or Urdu. So you can ask any question in any of these two languages. So we carry on with that in order to, as Alan also touched upon, that until and unless the Western powers, they have the strong political will to defeat ISIS, nothing is going to happen. They will have to coordinate. They will have to demonstrate that they have the capacity and ability. They will have to demonstrate clearly they have the resources to counter that. They will have to bring forward the real leadership. And unfortunately, just like the third world countries, we don't have any powerful leadership even in the powerful Western countries. So another area is that what about the providing and selling of arms internationally? More than $200 billion worth of arms are purchased every year by many, many countries in the world. So arms sale, arms transfer is a $200 billion industry per year. And obviously, who are providing funds? Who are providing arms? Now, arms, who is manufacturing those arms? The arms are being manufactured in the United States, in Britain, in France, and Denmark, Netherlands, Italy, Germany, China, Russia. All these countries are. For example, today, when Vladimir Putin was in Tehran, so a combined strategy by which the Iranian and the Russian armed forces, Russian military leaders, they looked at a comprehensive and far-reaching strategy to deal with ISIS. So that was discussed at length today. And along the lines, the transfer of arms was also discussed. And so, but the transfer of arms are the volume and magnitude of the transfer and sale of arms that is being carried out by the United States, Britain, and France, and China, and elsewhere. That is not to be compared with the small arms sale by Russia. So $200 billion worth of industry per annum. That's a huge industry. And if the world leaders, they stop providing arms to the recipient nations, then what will happen to their arms in their storehouses, in their warehouses, where they manufacture they manufacture missiles, tanks, artillery pieces, and assault rifles, munitions, and all these things. cyber security apparatus that they are selling. They are raising $200 billion per year. So how can they jeopardize that massive industry, that massive income stream to their nations? So this is a big question. So other thing is that only the GCC countries, the 6 GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and UAE, they are importing every year in excess of $85 billion per year. So obviously, 50% of this arms sale per annum of $200 billion, almost 50%, that is going to the GCC countries. So how they are and where they would be using. I have a caller online, and let's see what the caller says. Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम डॉक्टर साहब, डॉक्टर इजाज बोल रहे हैं आप?
जी मैं बोल रहा हूँ.
अभी आपने बताया 4 कंट्री का नाम लिया कि वो उसको फंडिंग कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आज अरब न्यूज की वेबसाइट पे जाएं आप तो वो तो कह रहे हैं 98% जो सऊदी अरेबिया है वो दाइश को सपोर्ट नहीं करते. तो ये मेरी समझ में नहीं आया. दूसरा, आपने इजराइल का भी नाम लिया, तो ये प्लीज मुझे जरा क्लैरिफाई कर दें.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. आपने कहा अभी खुद ही कि 98% जो सऊदी अरेबिया सपोर्ट नहीं करता. मैं भी एग्री करता हूँ, 98% बिल्कुल सऊदी अरेबिया सपोर्ट नहीं करता. 3 करोड़ की आबादी है, उसमें 98% तो वो जो लोग हैं जो रूल हो रहे हैं, जो महकूम हैं, वो तो सपोर्ट नहीं करते. सपोर्ट करते हैं तो जो चंद हज़ारों की तादाद में रॉयल फैमिली है, जिनके अपने स्टेक्स हैं, किसी न किसी इंटरनेशनल पावरफुल हिडन गुरिल्ला फोर्स को यूज़ करते रहना ताकि अपनी अहमियत 57 मुस्लिम कंट्रीज़ में उनकी रहे और उनके पास बार्गेनिंग चिप भी हो वेस्टर्न पावर के साथ डील करने के लिए. उन्हें ये अक्कासी करते हुए कि हम पावरफुल हैं, मुस्लिम वर्ल्ड को हम रूल करते हैं. इज़राइल की ये है, मैं आपको बताते जाऊँ कि आईसिस को ट्रेनिंग देने के लिए, कोऑर्डिनेट्स जो देने ऑन ग्राउंड देने के लिए, ये तो अब भरा पड़ा है सोशल मीडिया और इंटरनेट सोर्सेज. और एडवर्ड स्नोडन ने जो कि तहलका मचा दिया ये पिछले 3 साल में देने के लिए कि आईसिस को कमांड एंड कंट्रोल, कम्युनिकेशन, ट्रेनिंग, ये सारी चीज़ें इज़राइल भी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है. इस वक्त इज़राइल जो है वो आईसिस को हिडन हैंड से सपोर्ट कर रहा है. तो ये मैं कहना चाहूँगा, लेकिन भी हम एक दूसरे को अग्री भी कर सकते हैं, डिसएग्री भी कर सकते हैं. तो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर योर कॉल. So we were discussing the funding streams and the weapon streams. Today, another section of global media houses, they took up that story and published that until and unless they have the strong support of a regional power, or maybe more than one regional power, ISIS cannot be defeated. No one can defeat ISIS only by air attacks or the drone attacks, because air attacks and drone attacks, since day before yesterday, there are hundreds of news stories on the print media and on the electronic media that only in the last 5 days the Russian aircraft have bombed certain areas of Syria, and some 400 innocent civilians, they were killed. So completely depending on or relying on the aerial attacks, you can't eliminate ISIS. You will have to mobilize ground forces to eliminate them. We have another caller online. Assalamu alaikum.
जी वालेकुम सलाम. तालिब गिलानी बोल रहा हूँ इजाज भाई.
जी तालिब गिलानी साहब, वेलकम टू द प्रोग्राम.
जी मेरा एक क्वेश्चन ये है कि आपने 4 कंट्री का नाम लिया है, उसमें 5वां जो है वो कतर का जो नाम आपने नहीं लिया. मैंने 16th of this month is nearly 12 o'clock. One of the analysts is in LBC. He said is $3 billion he support in ISIS. तो ये कैसे हो सकता है कि LBC पर भी पता चल गया है, बाकी लोगों को भी पता चल गया है, लेकिन ये जो ताकतें हैं इंटरनेशनल, उनको ये पता नहीं चल सका, या वो इसको किस तरह पसे पुश डालकर उनके खिलाफ ऐलान तो इन्होंने कर दिया है, लेकिन ये जो कंट्रीज हैं इनको जो कि सबूत एलबीसी पर जो एक एनालिस्ट है वो ऐसे तो बात नहीं करेगा प्रूफ के बगैर, तो इसके बारे में आप जो है वो जरा प्लीज रोशनी डालिए।
जी शुक्रिया। हमें न्यूज़ स्टोरीज मिलती हैं प्रिंट मीडिया पे भी और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया पे भी कि कतर के पैसा, ज़ाहिर है कतर एक बहुत बड़ी इकोनॉमी है। देखिए 11 लाख की आबादी है और 1.7 ट्रिलियन डॉलर की जीडीपी है। कतर जो है दुनिया का नंबर 1 कंट्री है जिसकी पर कैपिटा इनकम के लिहाज से, अब आप देख लीजिए। तो कतर की डेफिनेटली फंडिंग तो, लेकिन कतर की फंडिंग में कमी हुई है पिछले 6-8 महीने में। आहिस्ता आहिस्ता हम देख रहे हैं कि कतर की जो लीडरशिप है, पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप है, वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता सऊदी अरेबिया से डिस्टेंस होती जा रही है। बिल्कुल ऐसे ही जैसे ओमान क्वाइटली डिस्टेंस कर रहा है, अब तो यूएई भी कुछ एरियाज़ में सऊदी अरब से इंडिपेंडेंट होते जा रहे हैं। तो ऑब्वियसली सऊदी अरब को जब तक आइसोलेट नहीं करते आप, जब तक सऊदी अरेबिया को जीसीसी कंट्रीज़ नहीं बताते कि ठीक है यू आर हैप्पी टू लीड अस, वी ऑल 5 कंट्रीज आर हैप्पी टू बी लेड बाय यू, लेकिन तुम ज़्यादा रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो जो ग्लोबल पीस में अपनी कंट्रीब्यूशन ज़्यादा तुम विजिबली करो और डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करो कि वाकई तुमने पीस की सर्विस किस तरह की है, और ये फंडिंग स्कीम सारी, तो तब तक ये मसला हल नहीं होगा। लेकिन कतर की जो है काफ़ी हद तक कतर की जो है इन्वॉल्वमेंट इसमें कम होती जा रही है, और अगले 1 साल 2 साल के अंदर कतर हो सकता है एक कम्प्लीटली इंडिपेंडेंट कंट्री बन के कतर की इकॉनमी की स्ट्रेंथ तो और ज़्यादा बढ़ती जा रही है। We have another caller online. So we also heard that Prime Minister Cameron yesterday, he outlined his strategy, and today some more information, more details they came out, that by the first week of December there is a possibility that the British armed forces would be involved. And when I say would be involved, that means that RAF fighters would join the Western coalition forces to bomb the strongholds of ISIS troops in Syria, especially in Raqqa, where they have their headquarters. But like I said, before sorting out the ground realities and addressing the funding and the arms deliveries, armed support to these people, it's a very big question mark that such military campaign only by aerial attacks would be successful. And what if these attacks, so far Britain has been safe from any home ground bomb explosions from all those youth that returned from Syria, and they learned the know-how to construct dirty bombs, and they can formulate a powerful strategy also to explode these bombs. But first week of December, if they start that, I'm sure they may have examined the boomerang effect of that also. In the aftermath, they will have to beef up the security. But how they can beef up security, monitoring, reconnaissance, surveillance, if they introduce massive cuts to fund the police in this country. So obviously, from the first week of December, all the shopping malls in Britain, they would be thronged with shoppers. The people would be out in the shopping spree. So obviously would be providing more potential targets to these terrorists. And another thing is the 6th of December, Sunday, when we have the annual Arba'in procession in London, where more than 15,000 Muslims, they are on the streets. And along with the Muslims, there are many non-Muslims also. So they also take out their peace rallies, the rallies against the terrorists. And this time, the organizers, they were here in the studios, and they discussed with me that this time their cardinal theme is to defeat the terrorists and to support this country, armed forces of this country, the police of this country and law enforcing authorities of this country, supporting them by all means we have to defeat the scourge of terrorism in this country. So obviously 6th of December, the Arbaeen procession is another very big event. The other thing is that Britain will have to enhance coordination between the different sections of law enforcing authorities. Likewise, Britain will have to enhance the public-to-public interaction, liaison with the public, and obviously if they haven't done the homework effectively, then launching a military campaign from the first week of December, I have the question marks that may or may not be successful. But what is the other side? Should they not act, and should they repeat what Neville Chamberlain did in late 1930s through his appeasement policy? This is a big question being asked nationally in this country, that should Britain behave like Neville, should David Cameron behave like Neville Chamberlain of 1930s and pursue appeasement, or David Cameron should come out and join the resolve of Winston Churchill, who said enough is enough, I'm going to launch a campaign against the Nazis. And that became successful. And so this we have to see, it's being equally weighed by the arguments. Very large number of people, societies, sections, political parties, powerful lobbyist groups, they are openly in favor of a military participation of the UK armed forces. But there is equally large number of those people who say that there could be boomerang effect of this military campaign if Britain launches against Syria. So this is equally. Another thing is the resources. Britain is not ideally placed in resources. Even in the cyber security, there are so many gaps, which normally the general public may not be able to gauge those gaps in the cyber security. And the resources, you see, Britain requires strong aerial campaign, strong RAF, but the armed forces are cash strapped. Britain does not have at the moment any aircraft carrier. Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier is in the fitting, in the dockyard, and it's being and another 5 to 7 years it would be available for use. Likewise, as I discussed with Alan Hart, the Trident, the nuclear powered submarines, the nuclear defense system that Britain has, that is long way far from another 8 to 9 years. So Britain urgently requires 160 billion pounds to fund the ambitious military production line, and still it's a long way to go, bearing in mind the austerity drive and limited resources. These sort of solutions, the Trident, the F-35 aircraft, fighter aircraft, like the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier, they are not very effective force. And what we require is, we want a solution now, not in 2020 or 2022. By that time, if ISIS is not eliminated, then ISIS will take a new shape. But the thing is, there are certain hidden powers. The newcons in the United States, for example, the AIPAC in the United States, I mean, they are still the people with dubious character, dubious contribution towards strengthening global peace. So ISIS, if they are subdued today, maybe in 5 to 7 years' time, the same forces that provided them funds the same forces that provided them the delivery system, the media support, the academia support. Maybe ISIS is defeated today, and 5 to 7 years from now, another new force, another new name, another new rubric that comes to the surface. We have another caller on the telephone. Okay, call is dropped. So whatever solutions we require today is effective surveillance in this country, reconnaissance, intelligence gathering, cyber security, public to public interaction, the positive role of media, and public opinion. All these things are required. They're more urgent. If they are not in place, nothing is going to change. So this threat will carry on. So another thing is, interestingly, when I was discussing these 4 countries, Egypt, ruled by Abdel Fattah Sisi, King Abdullah, ruling Saudi Arabia, Tayyip Erdogan, ruling Turkey, and of course Benjamin Netanyahu. Interestingly, they will have to be persuaded, convinced that now this is the time they said goodbye to their affiliates, and they will have to come clean at the negotiating tables. I mean, it was very interesting to learn that a few weeks ago, a national judge in Spain, he with the name Justice Jose de la Mata, he passed an order, a court order, by which he said that Benjamin Netanyahu and 6 other of his cabinet members and people who were in charge at that time in 2010, when the Spanish flotilla, the Marmara, that was attacked by Israeli defense forces. So Justice Jose de la Mata passed court orders that whenever Benjamin Netanyahu and either of those 6 people who were in his cabinet that time in 2010, if they are seen on the Spanish soil, arrest them. So this is very interesting. This is a good sign. We see the people like the likes of Benjamin Netanyahu, like Narendra Modi, who was directly involved as chief minister in the killing of more than 1,000 innocent Muslims in Gujarat. But he came with respect, red carpet, and he signed so many billions of pounds worth of energy sector agreements with Britain and all the human rightists. More than 112,000 signatures were sent to 10 Downing Street, but nothing happened. So in order to launch a military strategy against ISIS or any other terrorist group, Boko Haram, Al-Nusra Brigade, Al-Shabaab, nothing is going to change. They will not be successful until these 4 countries are persuaded to come at the negotiating tables. So the diplomatic community, the political leadership, the political will, resources, I mean, they are more important. And I'm sure President Barack Obama, Prime Minister David Cameron, President François Hollande, and Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, Xi Jinping, the President of China, Vladimir Putin, all these powerful countries will have to address the diplomatic areas before launching a military campaign. But in the meantime, they should keep an eye, and they should carry on. They should carry on using their force against ISIS. But diplomatic corners are equally important. With that, I conclude this program. I'll come back to you next Monday with another topic and another program. And goodbye from now.